Hey everyone! In this video, I'm going to show you how to play measures 57 to 70 in Brandenburg Concerto number 3. This is the second violin part, and so this is a part that has a lot of eighth notes in there, and it's very easy to get lost if you miss a note or if you lose track of where you're at. So I'm going to show you a strategy that will work in keeping you on track with each of the measures along the way. I'll start off by playing the section from 57 to 70 first, so you can hear what it sounds like all together, and then I'll go back and kind of break down how to practice each and every measure. Okay, so here we go. This is measure 57. Ready, and... Okay, so that's the whole section right there. And we're not going to go too much faster than that. So if you are comfortable at that speed already, great. If you're not comfortable at that speed, don't worry, you'll get there. But if you're having trouble with keeping pace with that, here's the strategy that you're going to use. Practice measure by measure. And I want you to start to think about not the individual note names, but the overall pattern. So I'll explain as I go through. So for example, in measure 57, we know that we have two note names. It's A and B. So you don't have to think about the individual note names while you're playing. Think about it ahead of time. I know I play A, B, A, A. And just repeat that measure 2 or 3 times, just so that your fingers know, oh, okay, when I see that pattern of notes, that's what my fingers do. The next measure, 58, same thing. Think about the note names first. You're just playing A's and G's. And then make your fingers go there. And again. And so then put those two measures together. Now that's a pretty easy spot right there, but the concept we can apply to every single measure. So let's go on to measure 59 now. This is where things get to be a little bit busier. Okay, so I want to think about already, I know that there's going to be F naturals on the E string. And remember, F natural is played with a low first finger. When I do a low 1, I make sure that my finger is nice and tall, and I'm squishing it up against, I know this is kind of hard to see because I can't get my other finger out of the way, but I'm kind of squishing it up against itself, and so there's the tape right there, and then there's my first finger. And I have to make sure that my wrist is straight, otherwise you won't be able to get that note very well in tune. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at this measure 59. And I know that we start on a G, and we do kind of like a little scale thing. So I'm going to practice it slowly first. Okay, and I know that I land on a C natural. I did, so let's try that again. Oops. So that's okay. Like if you go through and make a mistake just like I did, just go back, replay it. Do that about 2 or 3 times, and then move on. I'm going to skip measures 60 and 61. Those are pretty self-explanatory. There's not a lot of notes in there, but you can use the same process. Think about the note names first, play it on your instrument, and just got a sense of, okay, here's the overall shape to the notes, and that way you don't have to process the note names while you're playing them. You can just know that, oh, okay, I do this. So we'll go on to measure, I think that's 61, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61. 62. 62 is where the busy eighth notes start. Okay, so the strategy that I want you to use for this particular section is similar to what I started talking about earlier. Look at how the eighth notes are beamed. 4 of them are beamed together. And then there's another 4 that are beamed together. And that pattern continues throughout this section all the way up to measure 70. There's a reason for that. We want to organize those 4 eighth notes into a grouping of notes. So let me show you. So here we have in measure 62, we have E, D, E, F natural. Those 4 notes. All you have to do is chunk that a couple of times. And you can play it faster and faster if you want. But the idea here is that you're not thinking about each individual note names. You're looking at those 4 notes and saying, oh, when I see that group of notes, I do this. It's a lot less work for our brains than having to think about each individual note. So then we can do the same thing for the next 4. So we have E, G, F sharp, and A. Oh, I'm sorry, it's an F natural. So it's E, G, F natural, A. And we go faster. And again. So now let's put those 2 groups of notes together, starting on the E. Okay? Let's take the next measure. We have G, F natural, G, and A. Same thing. Play those 4 notes until your left-hand fingers know where to go. The next group, G, E, D, F natural. Again, take that slowly. Now, if you're hitting an extra string like I am, all that means is that you're dropping your bow too much. And so with practice, that will eliminate itself. Just be aware that it's happening, and now you know what's causing it. Your arm is going down too low, so you just have to make an adjustment right there. And again, make sure that you're landing on that low 1 for the F natural on the E string. So we're moving on to the next measure. This is measure 64. So we have E, D, E, F natural, and then E, F, E, D. Again, we're still going through playing each group of 4 eighth notes together so that our left hand knows where to go. And we continue that process into measure 65. Here we have 4 eighth notes, and then quarter note. And so you can practice just doing those 4 eighth notes. And then add the quarter notes later. Moving on to measure 66, here we are on the G string. So we have B, A, B, C. And then B, D, C, E. Now along the way here, some of these note names have a 4th finger written above them. Really, it's up to you whether or not you want to use that 4th finger. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever you feel most comfortable with. I use my 4th finger for some of them and not for others. But I'll leave that decision up to you. Let's go on to measure 67. So again, here we're going to play the first 4 eighth notes, D, C, D, E. And then the next 4 eighth notes, G, B, A, C natural. And as you're practicing this spot, make sure that your second finger is landing on the C natural not on a C sharp, and not kind of in between. We want to be really, really accurate with that finger placement. So let me play that again. The next measure, measure 68, first 4 eighth notes are B, A, B, C, which is the same pattern of notes that we had back at measure, I think that's measure 60 in the second half, B, A, B, C. So here it is again, B, A, B, C. And then we have the same letter names, just kind of out of order for the next 4, B, C, B, A. So that's kind of a fun one to put all together. Oops. So right there, I mean, you can even just focus on what's not a B and make sure that your finger is in the right spot for that. And then the last measure right here, measure 69, we have G, A, G, F sharp. And for that one, I think I would use my 4th finger, only because doing a string crossing there at the speed that we're going at will slow you down. So the 4th finger will make it a little bit easier to get through that a little bit more speedily. And then we have just the last 2 quarter notes, G and E. So if we put that together, and then we end that whole section on the open D. That's marked as a 4th finger. Again, you can play it as a 4th finger if you want, or open. Doesn't matter to me. So that's it. Again, the strategy is work in little chunks, 4 eighth notes at a time, and then combine the 2 together. So then you're playing half a measure, a full measure, then do 2 measures, 4 measures, all the measures, and that way your confidence will be really, really high in that particular part right there. So happy practicing, and let me know if you have any questions.